Hey man, welcome back to Man Time. Today's episode, we are going to try to put a new floor on this trailer. I just got all the wood. You wouldn't believe it, they don't even sell this stuff at the lumber yard anymore. You got to go to a specialty shop to get it. I'm going to go through all the steps here to put this floor on, and hopefully it comes out right the first time. Welcome to Man Time. Yeah, it's pretty funny. You can't even go to your local big box store to get lumber anymore. I actually had to go to a specific trailer repair shop to get this wood ordered. It's just standard 2x8, but it's 20 foot long. They don't sell the 20 footers at the big box stores anymore. Only through specialty shops. You have to either special order it or find somewhere that sells trailer specific stuff. Yeah, and then next problem I have is the hardware. You would think that Lowe's, Home Depot, or wherever would just carry, some standard hardware for this sort of stuff. Nope. Had to, of course, first thing you want to do, take pictures of the existing floor that's in the thing, and then also measure, diameter, length, width, height, whatever of the lumber you're going to need. And then thirdly is measure the screws that are holding the thing down. So I had to order those on Amazon because they didn't have any standard, trailer size screws at the big box stores either. I'll show those to you. So I couldn't find any of these at the hardware store. These are 14 by 3 1/4 Reamer Tech wood to metal screws. So these are specifically designed almost for trailers, going through wood and then into metal, but you can use them, they make the wood to metal. They've got a little swedged spot on there where it's actually going to bore the wood, so it's not trying to go through the wood, and seat into the wood. It's seating into the metal, and so the wood's not jumping up on the screw as you're, drilling that hole in the metal. It's a self-tapper. But yeah, I got a big box of those off Amazon, and then of course, proper tools for the job. The circular saw you got for $10 at a garage sale. It's got the $10 mark still right on it there. It does have a nice blade on it, so I scored for $10 at the garage sale. All magnesium frame, old hardy Porter cable. Maybe a little lack of operation there, but it should be fine. Tape measure, and then a square. I was going to say a square. I don't have my square here. I'm going to have to grab that. Of course, measure several times on the trailer the size wood you're going to need. Cut off a test piece, see where you're at, and then mark it down. So square and pencil. Let's cut. So there's a couple different sizes of wood I'm going to need here, all of which these are not. They only sell these in 16 from the big box stores, and then 20 foot from the trailer supply stores, or somewhere where you can special order it, at a lumber yard of your choice. So these are 20 foot 2x8s, and 13 of them will cover this, but I've got this right here. So I've taken some measurements of this distance here, that distance up there, and then of course I need to cut the long runners, and starting on one side, working my way in. I'm going to cut both of these pieces that are going to fit here, same up there, and then for the other side, get all those cut, and then that way I can work from both sides into the middle. But these are going to be, let's see here, these are going to be exactly 4 foot right here, and then up there is going to be exactly 100 inches, and then the longest distance there is going to be 213 inches. So I'm going to get those measured out and get a couple cut. Yeah, one thing, especially when you're working with a new tool, new to you, right? You want to make sure you figure out where this thing is actually going to be cutting. So you want to line it up to where you can see where the blade is going to cut. This looks really nice. This is actually very accurate to what's going to be cutting if I align this line right down this. So let's try it out. course, at this stage, you do want to measure. Look at that one over there. She likes that sawmilled wood. All right, let's see how we did. Beautiful. Okay. 2 more of those, and then the 2 that go up there. So one thing you don't want to forget here is the order of operations. You want to cut 1 piece here and then 1 piece there, because again, one of these boards makes this one single piece. Now this is probably 4 foot anyway, but the rate I'm going to be going here, I'm going to cut this whole side here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the same on the other side, making sure that I have as little waste as possible. If I were to cut 2 4-foot pieces, that may leave me short up here, you know, just an FYI. It looks like I will still have enough for another 4-footer out of this. Let's go ahead and try out the 100-incher, see how that fits. Again, we want it to slide up under and come up here, and we're perfect. Very nice. Let's see, one thing, it is kind of folding up a little bit. I think I'm going to want, even though this is the ugly side, it has a little bit of a hump this way, and I'm going to be screwing it down, you know, semi in the middle. So these edges aren't going to be curling up, and I'm going to be holding down where it counts. Still smells like wood. Well, I figured out I can get 2 of the 100-inchers out of course, one of these 20-foot sheets. That's going to be, you know, of course, 240, 20 times 12. So we'll be able to get 2 of the ones for the front out of one of these, which will be nice. And that was the first cut where I really encountered any sort of trouble. This is actually a really good blade on here. Looks like also a Porter Cable carbide tip. Very nice. Okay. Hey, Tucker! Get over here! Tucker! Oh, man. Well, it is the next day, and you can see that sun is bright. I ran out of daylight last night. Came out here first thing in the morning. It's freezing cold. Even down here in Texas, every once in a while, it gets really cold. But I just got done finishing up with that centerpiece. The centerpiece looked to be about 2 3/4 or somewhere right around there. That's really when you want to have your rip fence. This older saw does have that option where you can rip it. You make a mark at the width of the cut you want to make, set that rip fence, looking at the blade, and I got that in there. It was a nice tight fit. Now I'm in the process of getting ready to set these screws. They are a T27, so I got this little impact set of T27s. I don't know what kind of drill is going to work the best, but I've got a couple of them here. I think I'm going to start out with just the regular 20 volt drill and hammer drill option there, and see where that gets me, although I can step up to an impact drill driver type of thing. But yeah, so far it's looking really good. Of course, measuring twice, cutting once. Yeah, that long ripping cut for 18 feet. That's really when you're going to know if your blade is good and your circular saw is good. Didn't bog down one time and made that entire ripping cut. Next thing is to line up, where we're going to put these screws. So I made some paint marks on the edge of the trailer here where all of the screwed in spots need to be. And I'm running, I've got that baling twine that just was a big ball, So I've got that set up here. I'm going to measure, I'm not measuring anything. That's the whole point, right? I've made my marks. Now I just need to run a line across. The question is, how do you affix it to what you're doing? And the answer is right here. I've got these rare earth magnets. They come in this little tube, and there is a stack of them, but these things are like the most strong, they're like the strongest magnet that you can possibly get, right? They come in this inner tube to the outer tube so they don't get stuck on anything, because typically when they do, they are a pain to get off. So I've got one of them here, and yeah, once that is down onto the metal, you basically have to pry it off of there. So it's real easy. I could use two of them and just use one piece of string, and that's probably what I'm going to do. End up cutting this and then just have one tied in here and then another one tied in on the other side, and then just run my screws in across. Of course, that middle piece shored everything up, made it real tight. To now, like, all of the boards are just nice and tight where they're supposed to be. One other thing in doing this, I was looking at the wood grain and kind of the natural curve of the wood. If the wood grain is going like this, typically that means it's kind of trying to bow in that direction, right? So you can maybe see here, this side is a little bit concave, and that's the same direction the wood grain is going. Here we've got convex, and again the same way the wood grain is going. So tried to set that curve coming up, so all of them are like this, curving up, and then when I screw them down, it's cinching the middle down and just kind of really holding everything in place. That's my thought process anyway. All right, let's get this screwed down. Let's go ahead and try this first one. I've got these centered. You know what? I think I want to run it to where this isn't going to interfere. So I'm going to run it a little bit up of where I actually want to be drilling. And I'll do that on both sides so I can be one side of this and not get into it. So I am about 1/4 inch off of my center on this. And let's just see. I don't want to hit any of the old holes. The old holes seem like they were pretty far to the outside. So I'm going to come in and be about 2 inches off of either side here. And let's just see how this screw is going to do and how this drill is going to do. Bump it up on this tube. Well, this is one of those situations that calls for the handle, I think. Well, I have basically never needed the drill handle. Like, the one time you actually need it, I have no idea what happened to it. So, I did manage to get this one in there and through, but this is thick steel. Trying to drill through there, man. Let's just do one in real time here. Wow. Yeah, and that's on the drill setting, so it is just going to keep driving basically no matter what. So the trick is to basically put all of your weight into it, and it eventually just goes in. All right, man. Well, if you've made it this far into your project, you're probably wondering, does it get any easier? No, it doesn't. There was a couple things. These, let's see here, they're called Jake sails off of Amazon. They were the only ones I could find, but there's two problems. One, they're having trouble like drilling through, and then two, that little tab that's reaming the wood as you're going through it, that's having trouble breaking off. So sometimes it'll drill and it'll get to that tab and it'll just stop. I ended up grabbing a drill bit that's the same size as the screws to go ahead and drill through some of the spots. Of course, some of the times I'm hitting the old screws in there, so it's a real pain. Yeah, it is a real pain. But I'm getting through it. I'm halfway done. I've just got the other half to go, and then I'm going to pick up a bunch of purling and stuff I need to do the mezzanine in the barn dominium for the ceiling of the living space. So that's my day today. Anyways, you enjoy these type of videos, make sure to thumbs up, subscribe, and get out there, have you some man time too.